Corey Thompson. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our annual Champlain Mooers EMS banquet celebrating the past year of 2024. Before we get to dinner, I have some introductions for people in the room. Couldn't be here tonight, but I do want to acknowledge my assistant captain, Susan Roberts. Our operations supervisor, Morgan Aruda. The secretary of the membership, Diane Menard. And not here tonight, but our treasurer of the membership is Tammy Trombley. Representing our board of directors for 2024, our president, Mr. Roger Favreau. Vice President, Steve Menard. Our treasurer of the board, Bill Loudon. Secretary of the board, Lynn Armstrong. Our Champlain rep, Melissa Gooley. Champlain rep, Dan Tatro. Our outgoing Champlain volunteer rep, Chris Trombley. And our new Champlain volunteer rep, Mary LaValle. Our Mooers volunteer rep, Mike Baker. Our bookkeeper, Juanita Munoz. And our administrative assistant, Barb Robbins. We have several past board members with us tonight. I'll read their names and we'll give them a nice round of applause after. We have with us Celine Paquette, Don Paris, Dick Cook, Steve Drown, and Sam Castine. We have several lifetime members with us tonight. I'll read their names. We'll give them a nice round of applause after. We have Scarlett Sample, Lola Miller, Tim Miller, Chris Trombley, Tom LaFave, Mike Baker, Richard LaFontaine, John Aruda, and Joe Crone, and myself. At this time, I'd like to acknowledge our town and village officials, beginning with acknowledging Mr. John LaBounty from the village of Rouse's Point. Mr. Jeff Menard, Town of Mooers. Representing the village of Champlain, Mayor Janet McFrederick would like to come up and say a few words.
It's hard to see with those lights. On behalf of the Village of Champlain Board of Trustees, I would like to offer thanks to you for your professionalism and dedication to serving the Champlain Mooers community. Many of us never think it will happen to us, and then it does. True heroes rush in and render life-saving aid in our time of need. That exceptional care and compassion during those terrifying moments, which you probably call doing your job, can never be given enough thanks. The community surrounds you with gratitude for your selflessness and expertise. Thank you so much.
Representing the town of Champlain, Supervisor Tom Trombley.
So, Janet, this could be tough to follow because that's really sums it up. Thank you, Corey, by the way, for inviting me and the rest of you for inviting us here. And the community, and I'll say on behalf of the town board, but on behalf of the town of Champlain, we all appreciate you so much. And I personally understand what it takes to go out there and, try to save a life, for example, and that's what you expect. And sometimes, we've had a few tragedies this year, and I know that things are out of our control sometime, and it's still gotta hurt, and I feel for you. I went to a Catholic school when I was little, so at St. Patrick's, when the fire whistle would blow, we'd all drop to our knees and pray, not only for the folks that were in trouble with a fire or an accident, but for the people that are out there trying to risk their lives and save them. And that's been ingrained in me. So to this day, now I don't hear sirens. My watch vibrates, and I get a message from the EMS and the fire that you guys are out. Those same thoughts and prayers go through my head. So thank you. Thank you. I'm getting choked up. Sorry. Thank you for everything you do, and keep doing it because we love you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Representing the Clinton County Legislator and Hometown Cable, Mr. Calvin Castine.
Thank you, Corey. If people are in luck, I've got my asthma and the cold weather aren't working together too good, so I'm not going to talk very long. So if you want to buy a lottery ticket, tonight's the night to do it. It's always humbling to get up here and talk in front of people like you, any first responders, because all you do and it makes the rest of us feel so justifiably humbled because of what you guys do every day. I'm old enough to remember when doctors made house calls. And I'm old enough to remember in Champlain, we had a converted hearse that Mr. Parsons used to drive around to emergencies. I don't know how people reacted when they saw that showing up in their yard, but it had to get their attention at least. And I remember with Gerald Mayo and Jim Wells and a few others got together and decided that Champlain would have an ambulance. And a few years back, Ken LaPlante saying that this here was possible. Because of people like them that dreamed of this, that this is all possible, and because of people like yourselves. So thank you very much, and keep it up.
Thank you, Calvin. Representing our mutual aid departments from the Champlain Fire Department, First Assistant Chief Jared Baker. From the Rouse's Point Fire Department, Chief Mike LeBlanc. From Shazy Fire and EMS, Fire Lieutenant Cody Seymour. From the Mooers Fire Department, Chief Mark Fuster. Representing Ellenburg Depot Fire and EMS, Captain John McNeil. I do want to acknowledge the West Shazy Fire Department and EMS squad who's currently standing by at our station for us tonight. Representing the dispatch center, we have dispatchers 702 Harrison Hobbs and dispatcher 706 Micherie Estes.
My voice is good. I've got a long time. It'll be probably the last time I'm here, so you're going to sit for a while. Former member on the paid side here. I always enjoyed working here. Great people. Many of the old timers I taught, worked with, a lot of new faces I don't know. The one thing great about this organization, you take the time to recognize us. A lot don't, and it means a lot to us when we've had a save and you remember the people that were the first responders. We appreciate you and thank you for the invite.
Representing the Clinton County Office of Emergency Services, usually Kelly Donahue's here, Car 2. Talked to him yesterday. He wasn't able to make it tonight, but he does send his best wishes for a great evening. Thanks us for all the hard work over the past year, so I do want to acknowledge that. And we have our very own Clinton County Car 4, Chris Trombley. Time to eat. So before we do, I'd like to introduce Diane Menard for a blessing before we eat.
Okay, please bow our heads for a blessing. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, amen. Thank you, Lord, for a beautiful evening, getting everyone here safe on dry roads. This beautiful facility, the people who are cooking our wonderful meal this evening. As we go into 2025, please keep our EMS family safe as our paid crew goes out daily and our volunteers go out at all hours of the day and night and with their family support. We want to bless our dispatchers who work 24/7, holidays and everything, who tell us where to go. And just everybody enjoy your meal this evening. Thank you, Lord, for this wonderful meal and get everyone home safe. Amen.
Thank you, Diane. All right, enjoy your dinner, and we'll be back later for our annual awards. Thank you. All right, welcome back. I'd like to introduce our banquet committee. We'll give them a round of applause after I read their names. So we have Diane Menard, Morgan Aruda, Mary LaValle, Danielle Menard, and Emily Favreau. So nice round of applause for them. I missed it in the introductions. I do want to introduce our medical director who's here tonight, Dr. Michael Durso. We had several new members join our EMS squad this year, so I'd like to introduce those folks. Chad Baker. Joe Dallaire. Riley Downer. And Reese LaFountain. We had 3 new EMTs that went through the EMT training and passed and are now certified EMTs with our agency, and that's Jared Baker, Anthony Jensen, and Mary LaValle. This past year, we had 2 folks go through the advanced EMT program and earn their certification. Thomas Houserath and Jamie Stewart. And we had 1 new paramedic join the ranks, John McNeil. Currently in class throughout this year, we have several people in class. No one in the basic class, but in the AEMT class, we have Anthony Jensen. In the paramedic bridge program, we have Shannon Seguin. In the paramedic program, we have Dawn Bulris, Emily Favreau, Thomas Houserath, and Jamie Stewart. So a round of applause for them. We do wish them good luck this year in their respective classes. Some statistics from 2024, Champlain Mooers EMS answered a total of 1,535 calls, which is a new record for calls in a year for our agency. The breakdown for the Champlain district was 629, in the town of Mooers 515, and in the village of Rouse's Point 328. We provided mutual aid to surrounding areas 54 times, and we received mutual aid from several agencies 30 times. And this is a stat that I love talking about every year. We're very, very proud of this, that our average response time to all calls, all 1,535 calls, was 2.2 minutes to all calls throughout the year. So a big round of applause for everyone. Some highlights from the past year. Again, we answered a record number of calls. Last year was 1512. We had a first with our Horton Ambulance Company. We've been dealing with the Horton Ambulance Company for close to 30 years now, and they came with our newest ambulance, EMS 464, to deliver it. And on that day, we paid for that ambulance in full, and then a half hour later, we signed a contract for our next ambulance. And the representative from Horton that we work with said that was a first in his 30-plus year career with the company, that an ambulance company had purchased an ambulance, paid for it in full, and then ordered the next one at the same exact meeting. We were very proud of that. That ambulance is set to be delivered here at the end of April, early May, so we'll have that in service soon. We recruited several members to our volunteer and paid staff ranks. We continued multiple cross trainings with our local fire departments. 7 providers are currently in class, as we mentioned. We're very proud of that. We hosted several in-house training sessions throughout the last year, and we created an organizational committee to improve quality and transparency within our agency and the communities. We were very proud of that. Some goals for the upcoming year, 2025. We are looking to update some of our bylaws and policies that have sort of gone to the wayside a little bit. We want to kind of polish those up and bring them up to speed. We are certainly going to take delivery of our newest ambulance in April of 25. We extend our commitment to training, both monthly and yearly requirements within our agency. We look forward to continue to cross-train with our local fire departments, continue to recruit new volunteers and paid staff members, continue to support the transition of providers to higher levels of care, and continue to provide quality response and care to the citizens of Champlain, Mooers, and Rouse's Point. At this time, I'd like to call up to help me with the awards our Operations Supervisor, Morgan Aruda.
Already here.
She's good, right, Corey?
Feel sorry for John if that happens. Wow. All right, so we're gonna do our top responder awards for 2024. So we'll begin with we have top responders in the medical field and a top responder in the driver field as well.
Oh, I was just gonna.
Yep. One of our top responder drivers of the year, answering 21 calls, was Matt LaValle. Come on up. Top responder under the driver category with 61 calls, Diane Menard. Top responder under the medical category, answering 84 calls, Mary LaValle. And top responder under the medical, answering 113 calls, Anthony Jensen. Next, we'd like to honor some years of service with some pins and awards. With 10 years of service to Champlain Mooers EMS, Danielle Menard. With 15 years of service, Junior Moore. Okay. So next, we had 3 SAVE awards in 2024, and we'd like to tell you about those calls and honor the people that were responsible for the saves. So this first one comes from February 15th of 2024. At 08:35 hours, Champlain Mooers EMS was dispatched by Amy Brewster along with Harrison Hobbs and Joe K.A. to a standby at a house fire in the village of Rouse's Point. The crew of Junior Moore and Thomas Houserath responded with EMS 463. Upon arrival, a firefighter brought an unresponsive dog out to the ambulance. Junior and Thomas performed CPR on the dog and gave it oxygen using a mask. Within a few minutes, the dog regained a heartbeat and started breathing on its own. After about 5 to 10 minutes of continued oxygen therapy, the dog regained full consciousness and was awake, alert, and wagging his tail. The dog was reunited with his family so they could take it to the vet for further evaluation. And at this time, we'd like to recognize the team that gave this dog a second chance at life. Dispatcher 705, Amy Brewster. You want to come up here? Dispatcher 702, Harrison Hobbs. Mishri, do you want to come up for the other two? Dispatcher 703, Joe K.A. Harrison, we'll have you stand up here. We'll have you guys stand over here. That's great. AEMT Thomas Houserath. And critical care tech and dog whisperer, Junior Moore. So we did a little something special for this SAVE Award. Obviously, they get their awards, but we also got them dog tags with the SAVE Award on it with the date, so we want to present those now.
No, he had to work.
Did you flip this? Did I flip it?
I didn't touch it.
Okay. You don't get that one every day. That's a good one. On April 20th, 2024, at 21:32 hours, dispatchers Brandon Ducko and Mark Ryan dispatched Champlain Mooers EMS to a male in cardiac arrest. The two dispatchers tag-teamed the call, giving instructions over the phone to the patient's friend on the other end of the line. CPR instructions were given, as well as continued updates to incoming EMS and law enforcement units. The crew of Craig Bosley, Liz Fuster, and George Gehrig arrived on scene with EMS 463. They immediately went to work as a team to try and revive this patient. Craig initiated an IV, Liz provided airway management, and George deployed the Lucas device for CPR. After some quick drug administration, the patient regained a palpable pulse and began to breathe on their own. Also arriving on scene with EMS 462 was Assistant Captain Susan Roberts, Caleb Trombley, Tony Taylor, and Anthony Jensen. The crews worked together to move the patient to the ambulance for emergent transport to CVPH. During transport, the patient was given fluids, oxygen therapy, and constant cardiac monitoring. The patient was delivered to CVPH in serious but stable condition and was awake and talking to the ambulance crew. This patient was fully stabilized and eventually discharged back to their home. At this time, we would like to recognize the crew members on this life-saving call. Dispatcher 731, Brandon Ducko. Dispatcher 730, Mark Ryan. Tony Taylor. Mike Baker. EMT Anthony Jensen. EMT Caleb Trombley. Assistant Captain Susan Roberts. EMT George Gehrig. AEMT Liz Fuster. And paramedic in charge, Craig Bosley. One more big round of applause for this crew.
Way to go, Liz.
Our last SAVE Award for 2024 occurred on November 20th. At 16:51 hours, Champlain Mooers EMS was dispatched by Jen Bulris and Brandon Ducko for a patient having chest pains and difficulty breathing. The crew of Alex Provost, Liz Fuster, and Jamie Stewart responded with EMS 463. Upon arrival, the EMS crew noticed the patient in obvious distress. The crew began assessing and treating the patient in his house, including oxygen therapy, vital signs, and an EKG. The patient was then moved to the ambulance to begin transport. Shortly after leaving the scene, the crew noticed a rhythm change on the monitor and subsequently noticed the patient was in cardiac arrest. Within seconds, the crew administered a shock to the patient's heart and began CPR with the Lucas device along with advanced airway management. Within a few minutes, the crew noticed another change on the heart monitor and stopped CPR to reassess the patient. They felt a strong pulse and the patient was now starting to breathe on their own. Cardiac drugs, fluids, and oxygen were administered to the patient to prevent another cardiac arrest from happening. The patient was also kept on high-flow oxygen for breathing. A repeat 12-lead EKG was also captured. The patient began to come around after a few minutes and was monitored and kept stable for the remainder of the transport. After spending several nights in the hospital, the patient was discharged back home to his family. To help present these SAVE Awards tonight, I would like to introduce the patient from this story, Mr. Kevin McLaughlin. Dispatcher 723, Jen Bulris. Dispatcher 731, Brandon Ducko. AEMT, Liz Fuster. AEMT Jamie Stewart. And paramedic in charge, Alex Provost. Sir, did you want to say a few words?
As I had mentioned earlier, a lot of times you hear the words hero be thrown out to a lot of people deservingly. But in this case, it was an eye-opener, and these are the real heroes. All these EMS, all this team here do their heroism on a daily basis, and I can attest to it. They saved my life, and I sincerely thank them all. Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to ask Danielle Menard to come up, please. Danielle joined Champlain Mooers EMS in 2015. Danielle has spent the last decade dedicated to this agency as a driver and an EMT. Danielle has served on multiple committees, including the Banquet Committee and Summer Barbecue Committee. Danielle is our training officer, ensuring that all of us have access to online and in-person trainings. As our training officer, Danielle has organized multiple interagency trainings with various community entities such as fire departments, law enforcement, and Border Patrol. One such joint venture with the Mooers Fire Department saw a backwoods rescue vehicle put into service in 2021. This off-road vehicle has proved extremely valuable over the last few years with the increase of backwood rescues within our district. Danielle, we thank you for the last 10 years, and we look forward to 2035 when we can celebrate you as a lifetime member. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you our Basic Life Support Provider of the Year for 2024, Danielle Menard. At this time, I would like to ask Juanita Munoz to come forward, please. Let me stand over here, Juanita. All right. Juanita has been with the EMS Board of Directors since its inception in 2002. In the beginning, Juanita was an independent contractor like Barb Robbins is today. She attended all meetings and took minutes for the board. In 2012, our bookkeeper at the time, Lori Mercaldi, was stepping down from her role. I went to Bing Glode, our president at the time, and told him that I thought Juanita could fill the bookkeeper role for the board. He said to me, "Have you asked her yet?" I said, "No, not yet." He said, "Let me talk to her." Well, whatever he said must have worked because Juanita has been our bookkeeper ever since. I say this all the time, Juanita is our unsung hero. She manages our money and makes sure that everything checks out right down to the last penny. I say this all the time, we would not be as the successful EMS agency that we are without Juanita Munoz. Juanita, I know for a fact that Ken LaPlante and Bing Glode are looking down on you right now with tremendous thanks and gratitude for what you have done for this agency. You have been part of its amazing growth from the very beginning. And now it is my distinct honor to award Juanita Munoz with the Lifetime Achievement Award for 20 years of service to the EMS Board.
You can't spend any more money because you have none.
Oh,
Does
thanks.
he listen? No.
Yeah, she just whispered to me that we're running out of money, don't spend anymore, so. Cupcakes are $5 a piece now. We have several benchmark year awards, and I'd like to start with one that we awarded last year. But we have Calvin Castine here from the Clinton County Legislature that has brought several awards here, and we have one to present from last year's 40-year award winner, Mike Baker. I'd like to ask Mike to come up, please. Also reintroducing Mr. Calvin Castine from the Clinton County Legislature. He's asked me to read this award for Mike.
For obvious reasons.
Says, whereas the Clinton County Legislature is justly proud to honor Mike Baker for his 40 years of dedicated service to Champlain Mooers EMS. And whereas Mr. Baker's career in emergency services began in 1983, and throughout the years, Mr. Baker has held every office in the fire service, including ranks of fire lieutenant, fire captain, second assistant chief, first assistant chief, and chief. Mr. Baker has been a dedicated ambulance driver for Champlain Mooers EMS, holding multiple duty crew nights. And whereas Mr. Baker was elected the volunteer board representative for 2024, exhibiting his desire to give back to his community and his fellow volunteers. And whereas today this remarkable first responder has shown many acts of unselfish deeds to the residents of Champlain, Mooers, and Clinton County, now therefore be it resolved the legislative body pause in its deliberations to commend first responder Mike Baker for 40 years of distinguished service. Congratulations, Mike. Congratulations, sir. We have an award for Tammy Trombley, but she could not be here tonight. But she did ask her son Caleb to come up and accept the award on her behalf. So I'd like to invite Caleb Trombley forward, please. Tammy Trombley joined Champlain Mooers EMS in 1995. As a lifetime member, she worked her way up through the ranks of assistant captain, and currently holds the officer of treasurer of the membership. With a career path in nursing, Tammy had no problem becoming an EMT and then an advanced critical care provider for the North Country. Tammy has been at the forefront of EMS in Clinton County for the past 20 plus years, serving on multiple committees at the local and regional levels. Her input and knowledge has helped develop various protocols and procedures that have made patient care in the North Country better than it ever was. Tammy was part of a team that saw Champlain EMS receive its first ever New York State Agency of the Year Award in 1999. Tammy also served many years as our trauma coordinator for Clinton County. She worked to develop new policies and streamline procedures to better care for trauma patients in the field. Tammy has inspired so many people over the last 30 years of her EMS career. For me, Tammy has been one of my most important inspirations in EMS. When I joined this agency in 2002, she pushed me to be better than I ever thought I could be. She taught me to be a strong leader and to always do what is best for the agency and what is best for patient care. At this time, it is my honor to congratulate Tammy Trombley for 30 years of dedicated service to Champlain Mooers EMS. At this time, I'd like to reintroduce Calvin Castine for the Legislative Award. It says, whereas the Clinton County Legislature is justly proud to honor Tammy Trombley for her 30 years of dedicated service to Champlain Mooers EMS. And whereas Ms. Trombley's career in emergency medical services began in 1995, and throughout the years, Ms. Trombley has held the office of Treasurer of the Membership, Assistant EMS Captain, and EMS Captain. And whereas Ms. Trombley was instrumental in the foundation of Champlain EMS Incorporated, and whereas Ms. Trombley serves as a dedicated advanced emergency medical technician critical care for Champlain Mooers EMS. Whereas Ms. Trombley is a lifetime member of Champlain Mooers EMS, and whereas Ms. Trombley has been at the forefront of EMS in Clinton County, serving on multiple committees at the local and regional levels, including services as Clinton County's trauma coordinator, thus helping to develop various protocols and procedures to increase the quality of medical care to North Country patients. Whereas today, this remarkable first responder has shown many acts of unselfish deeds to the residents of Champlain, Mooers, and Clinton County, now therefore be it resolved the legislative body pause in its deliberations to commend AEMT-CC Tammy Trombley for 30 years of distinguished service. Congratulations, Tammy.
I didn't think I was going to be saying any words tonight, but I want to thank every one of yous. My mom has changed jobs from CVPH to Albany Med, and no matter who you are, you were a part of that, and I thank you. She's doing what she loves, and she's pursuing her dreams, and that's possible because of every one of you here, no matter what role you play. She loves what she does, and that's all I can wish for her. So, thanks, guys.
One of the nice things about living in the community all these years is watching the little kids you see in church grow up. Caleb was one, and little George Garrick is another one back there.
Little George Garrick.
At this time, I'd like to ask Tom LaFave to come forward, please. Tom joined Champlain Fire and EMS in 1990. Tom became an EMT in the early 90s and served as an EMT until 2005. Tom stayed on with the newly formed Champlain Mooers EMS and has served as an ambulance driver for the last 15 years. Tom has served Champlain proudly. He held many ranks within the fire service, including chief of the Champlain Fire Department from 2015 until 2020. Tom was also very instrumental in helping to establish the Champlain Fire Department annual golf tournament, which is now approaching its 20th anniversary. Tom has dedicated his life to answering the call. He loves helping others, and he loves being part of this agency. Ladies and gentlemen, for 35 years of dedicated service to Champlain Mooers EMS, Mr. Tom LaFave. Hang on one second, we're not done yet. At this time, I'd like to reintroduce Mr. Calvin Castine to help give out our Clinton County Legislative Award for Tom. It says, whereas Clinton County Legislative is justly proud to honor Tom LaFave for his 35 years of dedicated service to Champlain Mooers EMS. And whereas Mr. LaFave's career in emergency medical services started in 1990, serving as an emergency medical technician for over 20 years. And whereas Mr. LaFave serves as a dedicated ambulance driver for Champlain Mooers EMS. And whereas Mr. LaFave has held every office in the fire service, including the ranks of fire lieutenant, fire captain, second assistant chief, first assistant chief, and chief. Whereas Mr. LaFave is a lifetime member of Champlain Mooers EMS, and whereas today this remarkable first responder has shown many acts of unselfish deeds to the residents of Champlain Mooers and Clinton County. Now therefore be it resolved, this legislative body pause in its deliberations to commend first responder Tom LaFave for 35 years of distinguished service. Thanks, Tom. Okay. At this time, I'd like to ask Lola Miller to come forward, please.
Dun, dun, dun.
Lola Miller joined the Mooers Fire Department and EMS squad in 1990. In 1991, she enrolled in the basic EMT class in Clinton County. Lola invested so much of her time into the EMS community. She worked her way up through the ranks of basic EMT, AEMT Intermediate, Advanced EMT Critical Care, and in 2020 was part of the first bridge class to become a certified paramedic. Early in her EMS career, Lola embraced a huge role in public education, becoming a CPR instructor in Clinton County, teaching community CPR classes for over 25 years. In 1992, Lola also became an EMT instructor for Mountain Lakes, teaching basic EMT classes until the early 2000s. During this time, Lola also became a Mountain Lakes preceptor in 1994. Helping aspiring EMTs to learn the ropes of riding on the ambulance. Countless young minds have entered her classrooms and ridden on ambulance calls with her with the eagerness to learn about the EMS field. Little did they know they were learning from one of the best. In 1997, Lola was elected EMS captain of the Mooers Fire Department Rescue Squad, a title she held for 5 consecutive years. During her time as EMS captain, Lola earned the prestigious New York State Leadership Award in 1999, evidence of what a highly respected member of the EMS community she is. In 2014, Lola received the Lifetime Membership Award from Champlain Mooers EMS, having served 20+ years as an active member. Lola, you are one of the greats. I consider myself very lucky to have had you as an educator, a mentor, and a friend. Ladies and gentlemen, for 35 years of dedicated service to the North Country and Champlain Mooers EMS, I present to you Lola Miller. And one more time, I'd like to reintroduce Calvin Castine for the Clinton County Legislator Award. Whereas the Clinton County Legislature is justly proud to honor Lola Miller for her 35 years of dedicated service to Champlain Mooers EMS. And whereas Ms. Miller's career in emergency medical services began in 1990, and throughout the years, Ms. Miller has held the office of EMS Captain of Mooers EMS. And whereas Ms. Miller was instrumental in the merger of Mooers EMS and Champlain EMS Incorporated. And whereas Ms. Miller served as a dedicated advanced emergency technician, paramedic for Champlain Mooers EMS. And whereas Ms. Miller is a lifetime member of Champlain Mooers EMS. And whereas Ms. Miller has been at the forefront of EMS in Clinton County, serving as an emergency medical technician instructor from 1992 until 2000, an EMT preceptor, and was awarded the New York State Leadership Award in 1999. And whereas today this remarkable first responder has shown exemplified acts of unselfish deeds to the residents of Champlain, Mooers, and Clinton County. Now therefore be it resolved, the legislative body pause in its deliberations to commend paramedic Lola Miller for 35 years of distinguished service.
Corey wants me to talk. Anybody want me not to talk? Who's back there? Say goodbye. It's been a pleasure in Clinton County for 35 years. I remember the ice storm. Miranda was only less than 6 months old, and my mother-in-law and father-in-law would bring her to the fire station, and I'd breastfeed her in the ambulance, and then they'd take her home, and then they'd bring her back. And there's Scarlett, so we've had many years. It's been my first ambulance was almost the hearse. I had just a small little station wagon that I'm short enough that I didn't have to duck my head, but everybody else did, with the little cot on the side and a little bench seat, and that was it. So it's been many years of different and actually exciting changes in EMS. So I see all of the young blood. I'm sorry you have to deal with my husband every day, but if I've survived 34 years with him, you'll survive a few. But I mean, just the technology and what we can do in the back of the ambulance and all of the life-saving awards we've seen this year and all of the years. I'm extremely proud to be part of this team. So, thank you, everyone.
I don't want to test the credibility here, but I don't know why a 36-year-old gets a 35-year award. I don't understand
This concludes the awards part of our night. I do want to remind all of our members to come up after we're done to receive a gift on behalf of our agency and a group picture, I'm being told. Before we do, one more big round of applause for Courtney Patnode and the American Legion for hosting us tonight. To all of our town and village officials from Champlain, Mooers, and Rouse's Point, we thank you for all of your continued support, and we thank you for being with us tonight. To all of our neighboring fire and EMS agencies, and to all of our dispatchers and members of the Clinton County Office of Emergency Services, we thank you for being with us tonight, and thank you for sharing in the dedication to serve our communities. I do want to take a moment to thank the families of our membership. We must never take for granted the sacrifice that you make so that your loved one can run out and go help someone. Please know how much we appreciate your understanding when your husband or wife or mom or dad is gone for hours or misses dinners or comes home emotional after a stressful call. Your support and love for this agency means more than you could possibly know. So on behalf of all of our members, we thank you. And lastly, to all of our members, you are the reason this agency is so great. We thank you all, and we hope you stick around and enjoy the night with each other. Thank you. And now we're going to turn it back over to Roger from CR Tunes to take us through the night. Thank you all for coming.